I'll be having a conversation with former Chairman Zamfara Committee on Prosecution of Bandits, Abdullahi Shinkafi, and also joining us will be Executive Officer at SBM Intelligence, Confidence MacHarry. But first, let's go on a short break, and when we get back, the conversation resumes. And as from before, as told, I'm being joined by Mr. Shinkafi and Mr. MacHarry from SBM. And of course, this conversation is still regarding the mishaps that have been noted from the Nigerian Air Force regarding bombings. So let me come to you, Mr. Shinkafi. First off, thank you very much, gentlemen, for joining us this evening. Thank you. So, Mr. Shinkafi, what are the local community's concerns regarding the deadly airstrikes in Zamfara State, please?
First and foremost, I want to commiserate with the good people of Zamfara State and the government of Zamfara State. My special condolence go to the governor, Dr. Dawda Lawal, and the entire government and good people of Zamfara State. The accidental airstrike is a erroneous attack by the Nigerian Air Force. The Air Force targeted at the gang of terrorists, that is the armed bandit, but mistakenly attacked the civilian and the community protection guard, which 16 people were killed at Tungakara Akakindawa village of Gidangoga district in Maradu local government. It is very unfortunate. Many accidental airstrikes took place from 2017 to date. Even on the Christmas day, an airstrike took place in Sokoto. There were some civilians who were erroneously killed by the Nigerian Air Force. So all these issues should be, the Air Force should try to avoid this accidental airstrike. Many casualties were recorded for many years by the act of this Air Force targeting armed bandit or terrorists in Nigeria. So it is a very unfortunate situation, and there should be a professional people who should be handling this airstrike. We salute the courage of the air component. Anytime when there's a report of these terrorists terrorizing the local communities, getting the intelligence report from the locals, but the Air Force component should always target the terrorists so that to avoid this future accidental airstrike against the civilians or innocent people. It is quite unfortunate.
Very unfortunate, Mr. Shinkafi. Let me come to Confidence. Mr. Confidence MacHarry, how do you verify the authenticity of the reports you collected regarding the incidents involving civilian casualties? And this is in particular in conflict zones like the Zamfara instance.
Talking about people who have families, family members who were victims of these attacks, and in some rare occasions, testimonies by the Nigerian military themselves. So, for instance, the one where it was first of all reported that the Nigerian army has gotten into the fray of using aerial weapons to attack bandits. It was confessed to the public by the Nigerian army themselves, especially when the Air Force came out to deny that they were ever in that particular territory. So whenever these attacks happen, there are many layers of confirmation. You could get it from victims, you could get it from the state governments who always rush to cover up the mistakes made by the military, and on some rare occasions you also get it from the Nigerian military also.
Okay. Well, that's very unfortunate regarding the cover-up of the mistakes. But in terms of the actions after the bomb blast, now, Mr. Shinkafi, this is to you. We heard about the donation of 500,000 naira to victims who were injured, but what else has been done? What other arrangements have been taken to provide assistance to the families and the victims affected by the airstrike in Zamfara?
Yeah, this is an emergency relief provided by Zamfara State government before the full-scale investigation on how the accidental airstrike took place. So this is an emergency relief. It's a tradition of the state government. Whenever such calamities happens, banditry attack or this accidental airstrike then the government will quickly give some emergency relief to the victims of the attacks. So this is already a tradition of the state government, which was established by the previous administration. So we salute the kind gesture of Dr. Dauda Lawal for giving an emergency relief to the victims of the accidental airstrike. But we are calling on the federal government and also the chief of the Air Force, the chief of air staff, to give often a full-scale commission of inquiry to find out how this accidental airstrike has been taking place in Nigeria. This thing cannot be swept under the carpet. Many lives have been lost through this accidental airstrike or erroneous airstrike. So
now,
this
Mr.
is
Shinkafi,
an unprofessional misconduct.
Mr.
There should be
Shinkafi,
an advance.
Mr. Shinkafi, I get you regarding what must be done regarding the airstrikes, but for the people who are suffering right now, has anything been done regarding perhaps maybe apart from the 500,000 naira that has been given to those who are injured? What else has been given to the families?
Yeah, many of the victims were taken to the hospital. In the general hospital, some were taken to the Federal Medical Center. According to the tradition in accordance with the Islamic injunction, were already buried. So, but some who were critically injured are taking medication in the Federal Medical Center or nearby hospitals.
Okay.
And the governor gave those 500,000 as an emergency relief to the families of the victims.
Okay then. So, Mr. Confidence MacHarry, are there any known discrepancies or maybe failures in the targeting procedures or intelligence gathering that could explain the civilian deaths in Zamfara?
To say or try to argue that its intelligence is kosher, is very, very accurate, but the results have shown that it is not. And this is not the first time that we're going to be having this, especially what they call friendly fire, especially in regards to the recent one that happened. I think it was in April 2022 that the Nigerian military used, I think it was the Air Force that drew fire upon ground soldiers of the Nigerian army on the tail of terrorists in some parts of Borno State. We also saw a similar thing in, if I'm not mistaken, I think it was in Niger State about a year later, where about 18 vigilantes who were part of the DSS task force against bandits were killed. So in summary, the Nigerian military would like to say that the intelligence is kosher, it's accurate and all, but the evidence has shown that it is not. But there is actually a lapse in a saner climate or in a much more opportune environment. You could say that, okay, if these things have happened, and then on one hand, we have in the military argue that this intelligence is correct, that whoever he killed was a terrorist, and then the result on the ground is showing something different. We should be looking at something that a reconciliation of the intelligence. You understand? In some sort of way to reconcile what is being said and what actually occurred. But the downside to this is the military doesn't want to take any responsibility for that, and responsibility will have to come into investigating whatever the source of the intelligence is, with a view to punishing whoever was responsible for it in whatever shape or form. But the military does not want to entertain these questions, and in the one time he entertained this question, he only gave a half-hearted apology and then told the media that it has arrested and it's put on trial 2 people for one of those attacks, but we've not heard of the head or tail of that. Nothing has really come out of that particular prosecution. So on one hand, you could say it is faulty intelligence, but faulty intelligence can only go so much as being an excuse. But in the event that it comes up over and over and over again, I think it begins to boil down the case of incompetence.
Well, I want to say thank you very much, Mr. Abdullahi Shinkafi and Confidence MacHarry, for giving us your expert opinion on the matter and, of course, clarifying exactly what the situation is in Zamfara. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you for having me.